Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr for Simon Says Stamp, and today I have a fussy cutting Valentine using components from the Simon Says Stamp February 2021 card kit called Love You Beary Much. I have created everything from the background stamping design to the bear and truffles and conversation hearts with stamps from the two stamp sets included in the kit, fussy cut them and added them to the center of this card panel. Let's start by creating our background with the XOXO background border stamp from the Love You Beary Much 6x8 stamp set. I'm going to line up the border stamp in the center of my MISTI. I'm using just a ruler there to get that lined up, and then I'm taking some of the surf blue cardstock included in the kit. This is just a scrap I had left from another card project. I knew it was going to be tall enough. It's a little wider, and so I'll need to trim that down in a bit, but that's okay for my purposes right now. But I've placed that border in the center of the MISTI so that I can easily just kind of move it up and down to repeat my border all the way down the panel. And the other thing I did was I did try to kind of shift it one way, left or right, so that it wouldn't be exactly lined up each time. I'm doing a tone-on-tone stamping with some Simon Says Stamp Surf Blue ink. That way it's going to be super subtle and won't take away from the bear, truffles, and conversation hearts design that we're going to be adding to the card, but instead just be a really pretty subtle background. This is such a great technique anytime that you want to create a custom background that perfectly matches your card design. There are a couple of different borders included in this kit. The XOXO, and then there's like one that looks like kind of like sprinkles. Either one of these would be really fun with this technique. I'm a huge fan of text backgrounds, so it was really fun to create my own here. I'm going to be able to add the text to the majority of the background. However, when I get to the top and the bottom, I just really run out of room to move my panel. I'm going to clean my stamp really well after I get it stamped as far as I can, and then I can move the stamp down a little bit, and from there I can just simply flip my panel around to add that text. I did stamp the sentiments a couple times each just to make sure the coverage was really good, especially with the tone-on-tone stamping. I've moved my stamp down, and now we're just going to fill in the rest of this, and I did speed it up quite a lot to save a little bit of time. Flip it around the other way. And I did get that one kind of stamped exactly one on top of another, which I'm not a huge fan of. Luckily, I do need to trim this panel down just a little bit, so hopefully I can fix that a little bit there. There are some awesome Simon Says Stamp black note cards included in the kit. You get 3 of them. So we're going to be matting this panel on our black cardstock. And I wanted a little bit wider black border all the way around, so I trimmed my background panel to 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. Next, I have a scrap of some of the Neenah 110 pound weight solar white cardstock included in the February kit, and I'm going to take images from the Love You Beary Much and the Sweet Truffles stamp sets from the kit and stamp those on the smooth white cardstock. In the finished card, I actually used 2 more conversation hearts than I showed here. I wasn't exactly sure when I stamped these how many I would end up using, so I will be adding a couple of more a little bit later. These are the images I started out with. I absolutely love the 2 stamp sets this month. You can purchase these individually as well. I'm coloring in the bear first with some Copic markers in E40, 43, 44, 47, 49, and R00. I'm purposely not going to color in the paws hanging over the heart or the heart itself, as I'm going to be doing a little paper piecing here with one of the pattern papers included in the kit. Over on my personal YouTube channel, I shared another card where I did something similar. I had repeating bears, and I really loved the technique with this particular image, and so I did it again for this card, just using a lot more Copic coloring for this particular design and also pulling in quite a few additional images. We're going to use some of the same colors for the truffles. E44, 47, 49, and then we're going to decorate the truffles with R30, 32, and R46. I want to deepen and darken the chocolate here for the truffle a little bit, so we're going to kind of put our base color as E44 and then E49 and E47 to deepen and darken the color. The reds and peaches that I'm using are all kind of in the same color family, if you will. And then we're going to have some pinks, or a pink and a blue that we're using for like the little truffle wrapper, the little decoration on one of the truffles, and a conversation heart. We'll go ahead and color in both of the truffles at the same time. That way we can kind of set our brown markers aside and move on to some of the more colorful parts of the image or images. There are coordinating dies for the Love You Beary Much. They do not come in the card kit, but they are available for individual purchase, or you can buy the stamp die combo at Simon Says Stamp. So that is an option too if fussy cutting isn't your thing. I'm not always a huge fussy cut fan. However, you can't dispute that I love the look of no white outline on my images, and it really does give such a clean, beautiful look. The truffle wrapper is being colored with B01, B06, and then we're going to just decorate the little decoration on top of the truffle with RV14. Or actually RV06, pardon me. The heart in the thought bubble is going to be colored with R35 and R46, and then the outer part of the thought bubble is going to be R32 and R30. These are some of my favorite red color combinations. I really love the little peachy pink of the R30 and R32 color combination. Because our background is a nice soft muted blue and we have a lot of earth tones with the bear and the truffles, I tried to go colorful with everything else. We're going to do a little RV06 and RV00, RV13, 14. I used a whole combination here. I wasn't exactly sure what was going to work together really well, and so I kind of played around with it until I got a color combination I liked for that conversation heart. I'm also going to be taking a white pen and adding some pin detail to all of the images. Just little highlights here and there, nothing too much, but just enough. So a little on the nose and cheeks of the bear, a little bit on the truffles and the truffle wrapper, etc. Then I find it easiest to kind of cut my images apart and before I start fussy cutting. You want to move your paper, and I'm so sorry that I'm out of frame here a little bit. You want to move your paper rather than your scissors, so kind of just keep twisting and turning the paper. This is why I generally like to trim down the paper that I'm using or cut around each individual image before I start fussy cutting, as it makes moving that paper around so much easier. Once I have my image cut out, I am going to take a dark black, dark gray marker and just very, very gently go around the cut edge of each design with that marker, darkening the edge. This gives it a very clean look where you can't see the white of the fussy cut. Plus, I think it also kind of cleans up any edges that may not look great from fussy cutting, especially if you're not super great at it. Like don't really feel super smooth with my fussy cutting, and so I love the look of taking that black marker along that cut edge. We're going to repeat this for all of the images. That's going to be our bear, that's going to be our truffles, conversation hearts, speech bubble, and then even the paws, which will be stamped, colored, cut individually, and the pattern paper heart that we're going to paper piece on the center of the bear. We're even going to do it on the edges of that pattern paper. I really wanted it to be consistent all the way through and have a beautiful finished look where you couldn't see the white edges anywhere on the design. Here you get a little bit better idea of blackening the edges of that truffle. Now, once we have all of our images fussy cut, we're going to want to add some stamping to the background. I loved the large love word from the Love You Beary Much stamp set. And we're going to kind of be sitting all of our images on that word. Also, before I fussy cut the conversation hearts, we want to add any text. The great thing about the Love You Beary Much stamp set is there's all kinds of different phrases you can use to decorate the conversation heart. So I went ahead and stamped that with some black ink before cutting this out with my scissors. If you try to stamp it afterwards, you definitely probably could. It's just going to be a little bit trickier. And because this image is small and it's a little hard to hold on to, I held it with some tweezers while I used my black marker to darken the edges. We're going to stamp then our background, or pardon me, we're going to stamp the bear on a scrap of pattern paper. So I've got this really pretty red on red heart pattern paper. This is the Simple Stories Sweet Talk 6x8 paper that you're getting in the kit. And I'm going to just stamp the part of the bear where the heart is and then go ahead and fussy cut that heart. We'll go ahead and trim the paws that are holding the heart as part of the heart design. Darken the edges with our marker, and then we're going to be stamping, coloring, fussy cutting, and layering the paws over the heart. That gives them some really awesome dimension. And we'll do that here in just a second. I've stamped the love from Love You Beary Much on my background using a clear embossing ink. I used the Misty to stamp this so I could stamp it more than once. These are big, bold letters, and I wanted to make sure my coverage was really, really good. Then I'm using Gina K Red Hot Embossing Powder, and this is going to look amazing over the blue background. The red really shows up nice, and it's nice and bold. If you're using an ink with any kind of pigment in it at all for your background stamping, you're going to want to make sure that it's completely dry before you do this, or your embossing powder will stick to those areas. I used a dye ink and I had let it sit and completely dry. It does dry very fast with a dye ink, but I did let it sit and dry while I worked on the rest of these images. Let's go ahead and put our bear together by putting some glue right there on the heart and placing our pattern paper heart on our bear. It is so, so cute. I love this technique. It works so well. Especially with this image, I just love how it turns out. Looks like he's holding this really pretty pattern paper or this really pretty decorative heart, I should say, that's from pattern paper that would be a lot harder to achieve with just basic coloring. I am trimming out the paws now and popping those in place. It does make such a big difference in the overall finished design. This heart is going to be a perfect place to stamp an additional image here in a little bit near the end of the video. The paws are pretty tiny, so again, I'm holding them with tweezers while I take that black marker brush tip and go around the edges to make sure that those are all cleaned up and nice and dark. Using a little black glaze pen for the eyes, and then we can go ahead and put some adhesive on the back of our bear and pop him in place on our background. We're going to start gluing down our truffles and all of the different images. I'm using some tweezers to help hold things down in place while that glue completely dries. I did take a little Nouveau Crystal drops in White Blizzard and place that on the heart on the one truffle so it makes it look like it's a sugary kind of candy confection there. A foam adhesive square on the back of the thought bubble, and then we're going to put glossy accents on the heart in the thought bubble as well as the bear's nose. I want that to start drying, so I went ahead and did this now. If you're ever worried about getting your hand through the glossy accents, that's probably best saved for last. However, I guess I was living on the edge here and I went ahead and did it early. We're going to take a little Ranger Multi-Matte Medium with a Scrap Perfect fine tip applicator on the tip and place some of the awesome Sizzix Love Struck sequins. It calls it sequins, but this is more like confetti mix that I'm using. You get a whole bunch of different ones in the pack included in the kit. We're going to use the gold circles and the little red hearts scattered all over the top of the card for a fun little confetti type look. I'll add to this as I finish up the card where I felt that I needed more here and there. On the paws, I love to add some little lines. Gives them a little bit more of a realistic look that I think looks super awesome in the finished card design. I'm adding in some more white highlights here and there or going over bits and pieces that need a little bit more. I'm using a sentiment strip. This is not included in the kit. This is something from my stash. Just down below, I wanted a little strip there. So this is the Reverse Love sentiment strip pack from Simon Says Stamp, and I popped that up with foam adhesive. We placed our panel on that black note card included in the kit. And then, of course, I am going to go back in and add quite a bit more confetti to the upper part of the card just for a little bit more color. And I think it balances it out just a little bit nicer. I should have stamped my sentiment before I got to this part of the card design. I originally thought I would put a sequin in the center of the heart, and I've left that in the video just to show you that I did end up doing that, and I pretty much immediately realized I did not like it at all. I really felt like I needed a sentiment there, so I did pop that off while the liquid adhesive was still wet. And I didn't have to replace that. I let it dry completely. You can see that all my glossy accents has dried. I came back to this probably an hour later, and I stamped the I Super Like You sentiment from the Love You Beary Much 6x8 stamp set in the center of the heart. And even without the embossing powder, I think you can instantly tell that that just rounds out the design so much nicer. There's quite a few different sentiments from this stamp set that will fit in the center of the heart, plus maybe some other sentiments from stamp sets you already have on hand. It's really easy to customize. I'm going to wipe away any stray embossing powder flakes using a dry paintbrush and then heat emboss my sentiment with my heat tool. I absolutely love how my card turned out. I did add one of the other conversation hearts over there to the left side that was colored in a peachy pink color combination. And now that I have my stamping and embossing done for the sentiment on the main heart, I'm going to add my additional conversation heart that I colored with blue. I'm going to use my tweezers to hold that down until the glue dries as well. And there is our finished card. Now you get some envelopes in the kit, and I felt like this beautiful card needed a matching envelope, and it can be so easy to create. So we're going to take the Simon Says stamp metallic cotton candy envelope included in the kit, and we are going to stamp it with some images from the Love You Beary Much 6x8 stamp set. And then we're also going to customize it with an envelope liner using some of the pattern paper from the kit. I added some eyelashes to the bear there just to finish him off, or her off as well. So the envelope liner die set from Simon Says Stamp is one of my favorites. I love it, and it instantly transforms the inside of your envelope to match your card. So of course I used that red on red heart pattern paper. Place that in the inside of the envelope and secured it. I only adhere the part that is attached to the envelope flap. The part that tucks down into the card I don't add adhesive to. That way it fits so much better. And then we're going to put our envelope in our MISTI, and we're going to use the bear image and a couple, or the little heart. So there's a solid heart in the bear image, and we're going to stamp and emboss those in red on our envelope. And I love the outline image of this. I love it in red. I think it just dresses up this envelope perfectly. For anyone who really likes to have the complete package, this is a fantastic way to have your coordinating envelope that perfectly matches your card. And you could do this with any stamp sets that you have, florals, whatever kind of images that you're using, maybe just a whole bunch of solid hearts, birthday candles. This could be anything, and it's a very quick and easy way to make a matching envelope. Most people aren't going to save the envelope or anything like that, but if you want to decorate it quickly and easily without putting a ton of time into it, but still have something beautiful, this is a great way to achieve that. A little envelope liner and some simple stamping or stamping and embossing. I did choose to do stamping and embossing for this particular envelope because it is a metallic envelope, meaning if you stamp with a dye ink, it will often smear. So you need to use a StazOn ink or stamp and emboss like this. Once I have that done, I'm just going to show you how easy the card fits in this envelope, how fun it looks. Oh, and I am going to add a couple of these little solid hearts. I felt like it needed just a little something, don't you guys? I love how this looks with just a couple little hearts coming up from the bear. So yes, I did stamp these. It does take a minute, but I do like those little additions there. And then of course your address can be written right out to the right of this, and a return address can be written either up in the upper corner or along that back flap. I didn't put anything else on that back flap, so there's plenty of room to put a return address there if you wanted to as well. I think this would be just as cute on the white envelope that you get in the kit, so you could choose whichever color you think matches your card the best. We're going to take our card and tuck that inside. Look how easy that fits. So beautiful and so much fun. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this Fussy Cut Valentine using the Simon Says Stamp February 2021 card kit called Love You Beary Much. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring Simon Says Stamp products that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new card making video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.